Hello everyone and welcome back to Do We Know Them? I'm Lily Marston here with Jesse Smiles and we have made it to episode 24 if I'm not mistaken.
Are you?
When I was editing last week's, I kept trying to find the folder that said 24 thinking that I was a week ahead. I was really excited for this episode.
We didn't just make it to episode 24. We made it to December. Feliz Navidad, everybody.
And we made it to 42,000 subscribers.
That's not how I speak Spanish, by the way.
It's how I speak Spanish.
Do you like our festive graphics that assumingly Lily put here and there or somewhere?
You know, should we change the light right now to make it easier? Oh wait, I actually haven't done it yet. Shall we get it ready?
Okay. Ready?
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Amazing. Have you ever seen anything as cool as that? We just keep breaking barriers here on this podcast.
Speaking of barriers, cheers.
Cheers. Oh, I keep seeing comments of people saying, one day you guys are going to be together and you're going to cheers and actually cheers and your hands aren't going to disappear into the abyss and we're going to freak out.
But do you know the problem with that? Because I've already read those and I'm like, that would be so fun. Shit, how the fuck am I going to get my chair there?
Oh, the chair would be a dead giveaway. You're totally right. It would have to be quite the elaborate scheme. By the way, totally thrilled that we embraced the different chairs thing because...
Same. I think it really... It gives it some character.
It's not that easy to just like buy the same chair. Each of these chairs are like a couple hundo a piece.
Exactly. And I actually couldn't, I tried to find mine because Jessie was going to buy it. After like 1 week, she was like, we need the same chair.
I got a little crazy in the beginning. Like it was like a quick trial for like 1 or 2 weeks. And then I was like, I'm going to invest my life savings into this podcast.
You didn't have faith in it. You thought it was going to fail. You wanted to have like 2 proof of concepts.
You know, I don't know if we've said it before, but Lily literally, you had the idea for the podcast. You came to me, you're like, we should start a podcast. But like, haven't we all said that with every friend we've ever had? You know what I'm saying? Like everybody, when they think they're like slightly funny or interesting, they're like, I should have a podcast. And like, probably you should. Like if we have one, you should have one. But like, I just took it. I was like, yeah, you know, it's one of those things. Like me and Kathleen have said that. Nasim has wanted to do one with me, which would be a fucking disaster if we ever did that. But that being said, you kept following up with me and I'm like the worst texter ever and like whatever. So Lily literally just said like, girl, I don't feel like you're in it. Like, I don't feel like you're invested in
You
this.
kind of ghosted me a little bit the first week. It was like, let's film tomorrow. And we're both super like kind of flexible and flaky about timing. But like,
right.
we still do it. It's just like, we might be an hour or 2 behind. So
we just keep
it
breaking
wasn't that weird
barriers
that
here
she
on this
wasn't
podcast.
texting me like first thing in the morning to do it. But then it would get kind of late in the day. And I'm like, so you still want to do this? And it took like 3 days. And then finally I was like, okay, so I'm poor. I need to decide something to do. Do you want to do this or not? And she was like, yes, let's do it.
Well, I did want to do it. It's just, first of all, I have like, what is that called? Imposter syndrome, where I'm just like, why would anybody want to watch anything that I do? So that like delays me from doing everything. But then the commitment, like the time commitment of like, okay, every week we're going to have to do this. And like we've said before, we almost failed on the second week.
And truly, I really wasn't expecting it to be as big of a time commitment as it has become. I also think we care about it more than we thought we would. So we're putting more time into it because we want it to be good.
The whole point of doing it was that it was not going to be highly edited, and we highly edit it. Like,
yeah, I literally was like, no, we'll just film for like an hour and then I'll edit it and it'll take like an hour. I remember at the beginning, she's like, well, we should add some assets. We should put a neon sign. We should do that. And then
well, remember in the beginning, we started with not a lot of pictures, not a lot of stuff. And people were like, hey, it would be helpful if you put up some pictures when you're talking about people, this and that and the other.
You know how we feel about viewer requests.
We fulfill them. But, you know, it's just really evolved. But I'm really proud of us. We're here on... It's been 24 weeks. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of work. And I'm glad you guys are loving it as much as we love it. Because honestly, I love coming on here and talking shit. It's fun.
Speaking of, we have a lot of shit to talk today. Where do we start?
Okay, here's the thing. Not this time period, but before, you know, when we're going to be talking about Kanye West and his insane anti-Semitism and rants and lunacy, quite frankly.
Specifically the Alex Jones interview.
Before this, I would say like his last little antics thing, like when he got banned off of Twitter for saying DEFCON 3 to all Jews or something like that. Horrible. Absolutely abysmal. But people were tweeting me and saying, like, when I asked what should we talk about on Do We Know Them, a lot of people were like, please don't talk about Kanye West. Like, I'm so fucking fed up with him. And while my husband was like debriefing me on this Alex Jones interview downstairs, I actually was like, I don't want to hear about him anymore. Like, I'm so sick of him and his rants and his fucking anti-Semitism and all the shit that he's spewing. I'm sick of it. But that being said, According to what Lily has, told me about this interview, it's pretty fucking insane, and we just have to fucking take a look at it.
I was
we
say,
can't.
Should we just start with Kanye then?
Yeah, let's just do that because that way we can end on a funny note, making fun of Ruby Frank.
Yes. Okay. So basically, as you said, Kanye has been in the headlines for I want to say a month now, at least. He was tweeting the anti-Semitic things. He got banned from Twitter, but then after that, he went on this media tour to, of course, all of the right-wing outlets that would have him on because it was anti-cancel culture and they were going to not censor him and they were going to give him a platform because he was silenced. Trigger warning for, I guess, a lot of
everything.
Anti-Semitic stuff, mental health stuff. And on that note, it is so clear that he is just not on the same, he's not playing in the same game as everyone else.
You know what though? And I've seen a lot of people have the conversation about his mental health, which I'm not going to say isn't a valid conversation to have in the sense of I guess it's relevant to understand why something's happening, but I am so far beyond giving people a pass. One of my best friends actually does have bipolar disorder diagnosed, and I just don't have the sympathy for okay, you can just fucking bulldoze everyone in your fucking wake because you have this disorder. I just can't go there.
The part where it gets dangerous, especially with someone like Kanye, there are plenty of people out there that have mental health problems, but not very many of them have hundreds of millions of followers that they can say all of their stuff to. So one of the things, though, I think that makes the mental health aspect of this so relevant is that all of his new kind of nonsensical ramblings, I know you like the term word salad.
Yes.
You'll watch these interviews and he's just saying things for 10 minutes straight without the other person even chiming in. Or if they do, he gets mad and interrupts and sings and makes them stop. The thing about the mental health aspect is, and what we have also seen recently with She Must Not Be Named, from what I know, it's not uncommon with people that are going through a bipolar manic episode specifically to have some kind of religious awakening. Because all of what he's saying, it's not just him being I hate Jews. It's him quoting the Bible. He says that the government needs to be ruled with religion and Christianity needs to dictate all of our behavior. And it's all of this stuff that I'm what? Huh?
Have you ever watched Handmaid's Tale?
And he goes on rants about pornography and all of this stuff and how it ruined his marriage. And
facts.
There's
I can
all
see
these
that.
things. Yeah, but then the way he talks about it, and even he gets mad that Kim does anything that is sexual, or he doesn't want his daughter to be in anything sexual ever, and all this stuff. And it's just didn't you do a photo shoot with Kim naked on a motorcycle? So much of what he says, I'm you've lived your entire life a very different way than what you're preaching right now. And it seems just such a clear shift in his mentality.
There's been a lot of instances where we've witnessed people from the Fousey tubes to whoever having manic episodes online. Listen, this is not to diagnose or, we're not trying. We're just commentating on what the consumers see or what people who consume that content see. And on our end, it seems like the person that's going through that is so disconnected from not only that moment, but everything they've ever done. It seems like there is no realm, there's no reality there. However, like I said, one of my best friends is bipolar. There's different types of bipolar, 1, 2, whatever. I'm not saying everybody's the same who has bipolar disorder, but she has had to do a lot of work on herself and in post-mania mending a lot of things that happened. The whole point is I understand you're not here and now with me right now. We're not living in the same realm. Me and Kanye, we don't live in the same world.
Kanye, what the problem is instead of people in his life going and I'm sure people have already. He's been a little out of it for quite a while now, even way before the anti-Semitic stuff. And then you have people like Alex Jones platforming him, and I can't imagine how many millions of views this interview.
That's why I wanted to watch this because.
Oh, by the way, it also features Nick Fuentes.
Oh.
Here's some clips of Nick Fuentes, if you're unfamiliar.
Abortion's popular, sodomy's popular, being gay is popular. Being a feminist is popular. Sex out of wedlock is popular. Contraceptives are, it's all popular. That's not to say it's good. That's not to say I like that. Popular means the people support it, which they do. And it sucks and it is what it is, but that's why we need dictatorship. That's unironically why we need to get rid of all that. We need to take control of the media or take control of the government and force the people to believe what we believe. We stand for real human beings, truly. But we also stand for whites. Anyway, so that's sort of an aside, but it is a little bit funny. This comes from Bannon. And Bannon is the fat retard that goes on these shows and says, we're going to have African Americans voting 50% for Republicans and we're going to flood the zone with nigger votes. I mean, that's like literally goes on these shows and says that. That one slipped out. We have one more election where white people can make the decision. The white people got to make the right decision, and then Trump's got to get in there and never leave. That, to me, at this point, is a pathway. We have got to talk about the fundamentals of our worldview and what it would look like to build a society based on our distinct worldview. It looks like a society where women don't have the right to vote. And it looks like a society where boys and girls get married as teenagers and start having kids, and they don't use birth control, and they don't use contraceptives, and they have big families and a high birth rate. And it looks like women wearing veils at church. And it looks like women not being in the workforce. Banning gay marriage is back on the menu. Banning sodomy is back on the menu. Banning contraceptives is back on the menu. And basically, we're having something like Taliban rule in America, in a good way.
Stand up, guy.
Just the three amigos. No, honestly, when you end up on Alex Jones to like really say your piece, your life is fucking shit. I'm gonna say something really, I might be canceled. What's new? Every episode? I had just gotten out of high school, I think. And that was when Alex Jones came out with all the Sandy Hook stuff.
I don't even get that.
Okay. Well, I believed it. Lily? Like, I was like, oh my God, that makes sense. They're all like crisis actors. This is insane.
How would they even, who would be orchestrating
It makes
that? And
no sense. But I feel so personally offended by everything he's done because I was like a mush-brained fucking idiot coming out of high school. I didn't understand anything. I didn't know the world. And I believed him.
Perfect example of people that fall into stuff like that is, and it's the same groups of people usually, it's QAnon. And I know that you have personal family experience
unfortunately
from stuff like that, but it's so sad to see interviews of people even like after they've like come to realize that they were going down a rabbit hole that made absolutely no sense. But the QAnon stuff is crazy because especially in the beginning, the way they hooked people was they use very manipulative pieces of quote unquote evidence, and it'll be like Q would post something and it would be like it would use a certain word and then say something about Trump, and then like later that day Trump would do a speech where he would say that word and people are like, oh my God, it must be. And honestly, that's pretty compelling evidence. But if you look, he says that in every speech. So it's like stuff that's like, oh, the odds were pretty good.
My QAnon family member has like brought stuff to us where it was like, I'll never forget. It was like in a movie poster of some Marvel Avengers movie or something. And it was like a Corona bottle. And there was like the 2020, because it was like the year 2020. And they're like, coronavirus 2020. And I'm like, I can't fucking spin this red thread around the fucking shit for you. Like, I can't do it.
I have to say, I love conspiracy theories. But the reason I love them is because I love diving in to be like, where does it like go, like where does the red thread stem off into like 8 different places and start making shapes? As soon as there's shapes involved, you know you've gone too far. I'm always just so fascinated with, and that's why I looked into the QAnon stuff. It's like, I know that's not true. So how did you get so many people to believe it was? And one, I think people are just so kind of in this state of desperation right now with the state of society that they'll cling to anything that makes sense because it feels like nothing really does. The thing about conspiracy theories, the government ones especially, they all end up coming back together. Like they're all linked. From my research, one, yes, I think there are a lot of conspiracies going on, not theories, that it's like there are people that are helping each other and having shady shit go on.
You mean the rich people all have power?
There's probably a group of like 500 businessmen, top level, like elite people. They're all running in the same circles.
AKA Jeffrey Epstein having a picture with literally every powerful person ever.
So it's very easy to connect them. And when you see that connection over and over again with the same kind of people, honestly, it became a game during my research for me that I would be like, I'm going to take this name and Google them and see what comes up. They're all linked.
And I feel like the people in my life who have fallen victim to the QAnon conspiracies and that whole world are, interestingly enough, people who usually have like addiction issues, not like drugs or anything, just people that have very addictive personalities.
It's interesting you say that because I actually have seen a TikTok kind of recently that was about, I mean, I see like 80 a day about ADHD, but that people will hyper focus on certain topics and they like love a deep dive. And I'm like, ooh, me? And it's because it's like a dopamine release when you're like learning new things and finding new things.
Totally makes sense.
Like, kind of like a puzzle.
I think there's people like that. And then there was people like me coming out of high school, just like watching something and believing virtually anything I saw. I remember my cousin one time spent we had a week-long cruise, not to bring up cruising again, but I do love cruising.
Of course you run on the cruise.
But my cousin was on the cruise the whole time trying to explain to us why 9/11 was faked. And like, I just like honestly ate that shit up. I must have been like, I don't know, 15 at the time. I was like, this makes total sense. Like, I just completely believed it. I didn't even see a single video. I think that impressionable minds, I mean, is that even surprising to anybody? An impressionable mind is going to believe things. So I'm ashamed to say that I did once believe Alex Jones, which is why I'm so for him being fucking sued up the ass as he has been, because he deserves the repercussions he's getting. Those families like suffer at the hands of his fucking idiocy. Like, I hate him.
Well, so then imagine someone making Alex Jones seem like the sane one in the interview. Because that is what happens.
What makes me want to watch this. So let's just get into it, because that is the sole reason I wanted to talk about it. Because if Alex Jones is the one telling you like, hey man, that's a little wild, then we need to see it.
And this is actually going to be the second time that I haven't watched the full 3-hour interview, but I've watched a good hour or two of it, and I don't think Kanye ever like leaves or like gets particularly like angry. But just a few days ago, he was on Tim Pool with Nick Fuentes again, and he leaves and like walks off because Tim won't like denounce Jews.
Holy shit.
He doesn't even challenge him really. He just like doesn't say all Jews are horrible, and then Kanye literally leaves. The right really wanted Kanye to like be this new, I feel like they wanted it to be like Trump 2.0. Like, he doesn't have a filter and he's just saying what he thinks, and then everyone was like, oh, but wait, that's what he thinks. So all the ones below are clips from other people's like highlight ones, because I thought it would be complicated to go through the actual one, but I don't know what to start with. They're all so good.
Let's see. This one says, there are a lot of things I love about Hitler.
Yeah,
I like the way you
click on
wrote
that.
it.
Start with that one.
There's a lot of things that I love about Hitler. A lot of things.
That's real.
I feel like maybe some people are going to be like, you need to provide context. Is there context that would make that different, or?
Well, let's go to the next clip.
Okay. First of all, the answer is no to that. Like, there's
I was going to say, though, I have to say, I don't think any kind of context I would provide would make any of this any more digestible.
I mean, there's some people who argue, oh, what Hitler did was great for the German economy and certain things. And it's like, he's Hitler we're talking about.
Well, that's Kanye sees the other side of that.
I think Hitler was a really bad guy, and I repudiate what Hitler did. I understand that the British intelligence set him up and used him.
I like Hitler.
I don't like Hitler. And I know you're trying to be shocking with that.
I'm not trying to be shocking. I like Hitler. I see good things about Hitler also. You can't say out loud that this person ever did anything good, and I'm done with that. I'm done with the classifications. Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler. Yeah, I don't like the word evil next to Nazis. I think we need to look at.
Oh my goodness. Just because you don't like one group doesn't mean the other. But look,
I love Jewish people, but I also love Nazis. Well, I want to say there's a lot of good Nazis that were just fighting for their country. And for them all,
like George Soros,
for them all to get put in a box, every Nazi's bad. Well, could some of the Nazis have just been fighting for their country? We can't put them all in a box.
All right.
I'm literally getting so fucking upset that I feel like screaming.
If you thought it couldn't get weirder than that,
it's not weird. It's absolutely fucking abysmal that this man who is so unwell is unfortunately given this platform, not just Alex Jones, but the world watching his downfall, the world watching. It's like giving, literally, I was telling my husband this. You go to the corner shell and there's an unwell person screaming in the parking lot and you give him 100 million people to listen. That's not
That's
right.
exactly what I was saying earlier. This is where the mental health thing comes in. I'm like, there's plenty of mentally unwell people out there, but not that many of them can get a 2.5-hour interview on Alex Jones and spew all of this shit and have people actually listen.
Obviously, I hate what he just said on Alex Jones, but let me explain why. I cannot stand the devil's advocate for people that are fucking horrible. And right-wing people do it a lot. I know we've gotten so many comments lately like, don't talk about politics. Let me just say something right now. Politics is real life. I get it. It's not like fun and sexy, but it is actually applicable to like everyday life. I'm not here to tell you who to vote for, what to do. I mean, not right now, whatever. But like what I will say is that politics are a part of all of our lives. And this kind of rhetoric of just, well, is everybody who was a Nazi bad? Okay, yeah. Am I sure that someone who had to fight on Germany's side like didn't want to? Yeah, what is what we're talking about?
Have you seen She's Just Not That Into You? There's an exception to every rule.
Oh my God, that part is so epic. I hate that whole devil's advocate for things that are dead and gone. Like, we understand the Holocaust was bad, Hitler was bad. That doesn't mean that Hitler never maybe gave $5 to a person who needed it. That's not relevant right now,
tries
Kanye.
to deny the Holocaust later.
Oh my God, are you fucking kidding me? I'm not a Kardashian fan, but what I will say is I know that this has to be like obviously a huge reason why Kim left him, and it's just so embarrassing for him, his children, his family, everybody. But also it's reminiscent of situations we've seen of people in manic episodes where it's sad to watch someone with nobody of value in their life, with nobody who will help them. I mean, like I said, I have helped my best friend through literal moments where I was like, I don't know what to do, but all I know is that I love this person and they're fucking struggling. And I showed up and her family showed up and we all fucking showed up. And it's so sad to see these people who have seemingly everything, all the money in the world, all the popularity, and nobody there.
One of the problems though is, well, one, that his accounts have been frozen, I guess, because he owes like $50 million in taxes.
Didn't Kim bail him out once of debt? She like bailed him out of like $100 million of debt.
Oh, I don't know. But that's like one of the reasons he's going around now, because he's claiming that the Jews did it. And I'm like,
are you fucking kidding me?
I don't think so. He keeps referring to like them, and he's reading literally conspiracies that have been around for decades about there being like an elite, really rich group of Jewish people that are controlling everything. He is saying they have frozen his accounts, that they tried to put him in prison, which I don't think that happened. But he also is referencing this text that he gets, I guess, from someone that worked for him at one point. Basically was trying to threaten him and like give him an ultimatum into like getting help. And he then, instead of accepting any help, and the text was worded very aggressively, but he then just started going around and reading the text on the news and telling everyone that he was like, everyone's trying out to get him and stuff. And I'm like, or they're trying to help you.
We'll continue, but it's just really, it's sad to watch someone so alone.
It's not like he didn't have people in his life, but I think also when you have that much money and influence, he can cut those people off and go find new people. There's always going to be someone that wants to help Kanye West.
Mania, in my experience of it does alter, obviously, your like kind of reality, your consciousness to a certain extent, but your personality, your heart is still there. And I don't want to like mischaracterize bipolar people as like people who like are literally just acting as like how they wouldn't act in general. This is in his heart. Like, that is in his heart. Whether he's a right of mind right now and his judgment is super sound or not, this is in his heart.
It almost seems, and I'm not an expert, I do not know, but it's almost like, you know, like drunk words or sober thoughts. It feels like this wouldn't necessarily be what's on his mind. Like, it is like normal consciousness, but little seeds that have been planted that he maybe wouldn't have thought about. Now he has like dove in full force and is...
The thing is that I think this is something that he would normally think about. It's just something that would filter out. It's something he knows is not correct to say out loud, and now he doesn't give a fuck because he's in a state of mania. That's my opinion. Obviously, I don't fucking know. I'm not his psychiatrist, but I'm just saying, like, this is something he thinks and he believes. That is why I can't give him a pass.
I don't know what pisses me off more, seeing him do the stuff where it seems like he's doing it just because he like thinks it's like grossly funny, like the White Lives Matter shirt, like the shit-eating grin on his face where it's like, look what I did. I'm like, oh my God, are you 10?
Okay, so one of these links says Kanye on Tim Pool. I really want to see this because
so this is him talking about Tim Pool, but click the one after it
for
this is him walking off the show.
Oh, great. Lovely. Let's see.
Yeah.
I think they've been extremely unfair to you.
Who was they though? We can't say who they is,
corporate
can we?
press. I'm not using I don't use the word as the way I guess you guys use. I'm talking
It is
about
them, though, isn't it? I mean, because
No.
because when you think about it, consider it. In 2018,
What do you mean it's not?
What do I mean? Like, okay, so how about, are you leaving?
Are you referring to the press?
So he leaves because he won't refer to the us or to the them.
Oh,
as
is that what it is?
Tim Pool kind of tries to like agree with him without agreeing with him, and he basically is saying like the media, but Kanye doesn't think it's the media. He thinks it's the Jewish media.
Kanye West has been in debt a million times in his life. Kim Kardashian had to bail him out, and he believes, if I'm understanding correctly, that all of that is due to Jewish people.
So here's also the thing, is all of these interviews, it's kind of touting him as this potential, and then I think he now has confirmed that he wants to run for president in 2024. He throws out a lot of talking points about like society and how like the government needs to change, but all of this, like all of his grievances stem from him being personally fucked over by like contracts in the entertainment industry. All of this started because he was like, what we need to do is get all these people in a room, as if he's like giving an ultimatum to like Tucker Carlson. And it's like, what? Who are you talking to? Like, what? Who are you talking about?
Is he, what I'm thinking, and I don't know if there's more details out there, and I'm sorry if there is, but is he thinking that someone who like worked in finances or like investments or something who happened to be Jewish maybe fucked him over? I'm not even saying that happened, but I'm saying if that happened, how could you even generalize this to all Jewish people? How does that
But that's the thing. It's
compartmentalize?
like he's referring to, I guess, like finance and like people like management and people that do like contracts and stuff in specifically the entertainment industry. He'll be talking about really broad topics, but then he gets like uber specific and just dials in on just his personal problems. And I'm like, why would people vote for you for president if you just want to fix your own stuff? Like,
I mean, not to like jinx it, because we said this before, but he will never win as a president.
Tim Pool thinks otherwise. Tim Pool tweeted that Kanye may just win, and then later he tweeted something like, oh, maybe never mind. It's not like hate against Jewish people is new. Like, it has been around for a long time because of very nasty stereotypes that have been perpetuated since the beginning of like money. It's just so absurd that he's saying all this, trying to be like, I'm telling you people the truth that no one's telling you. And it's like, no, you're reading a conspiracy theory book from like 1800.
Well, and it's also like a level of gaslighting that's really hard to like consume from a celebrity, especially. But like, for instance, with my family members, that I will be told something, and then if I think it's bullshit, because it is, I'm told that like I'm asleep at the wheel and I don't understand what's happening and I don't see the truth for what it is. And it's so hard to see someone like Kanye West say something that you're like, that's not fucking true. But meanwhile, he's like, if you don't fucking believe this, like you're an idiot. Like it's so.
But then it's even more frustrating because the people that are having him on their shows are giving him an absurd amount of leniency when he's saying all this stuff, because they don't want to have what happened on Tim Pool happen and have him walk off, because he is so volatile that he does seem like he's just gonna lose it at any moment. So he says all this shit, and then they wear kid gloves and they're like, well, I mean, I don't think all Jewish people are bad. And then suddenly he's like referencing things from a Bible that don't feel like the normal Bible, and I just am so confused. You would think that if you gave someone the opportunity to take back that they were throwing this blanket generalization on all Jewish people. I've seen him being interviewed by a Jewish person, and they're like, but you understand that, like, even if there was some bad ones, I'm not saying there is, I'm not, love Jewish people, it's fine. But even if there were some bad ones, there are also good ones. And Kanye does not accept that at all. He's just like, no, we're not talking about the good ones, though. We're talking about the bad ones. And I'm like,
you could say the same thing about any culture.
What?
You can gather Cuban people, you can gather Black people, you can gather Jewish people together, and you can be like, well, one person who so happened to share these traits, religion, etc., did me wrong, and so therefore they're all wrong. And that mentality should every single fucking time be absolutely denounced, shut down immediately. And this guy is just being given microphone after sure microphone on every fucking podcast for him to talk shit. But anyway, let's see what else you have here.
well, so given what we saw with him just walking off Tim Pool, this is now what he says about it.
Tim Pool is an NPC, and you're a real human being. So no one's ever heard of Tim Pool. You're the legend that is Alex Jones, and you were fighting on the front line, and now we're here with you. You got some other superheroes part of the Avenger movie fighting for Christ.
They're superheroes They're Avengers, and they're fighting for Christ.
It's always I figured it out. I understand what the meaning of life is, essentially, and I'm the only one who knows.
One is someone that already thought they were a genius, and now they're seeing this stuff that, like, even the dumbest person would be like, ooh, I'm connecting all the dots.
I guess in conclusion of this, because I don't want to spend a whole episode. Like, I literally am...
There's one more. There's one more clip.
Okay, then.
Possibly the most unhinged part of the entire interview, in my opinion. It is a recurring, I won't say segment, but almost. You know, he's been, like, dabbling in, like, voices and, like, being funny.
No.
Netanyahu, what do you have to say? What do you have to say to Alex Jones right now, Nick Fuentes and Ye? It was bad. It was bad for Trump to meet with Nick and Ye. Okay. I had no idea your voice is going to sound like that, Netanyahu.
So you don't like Benjamin Netanyahu?
I just heard about this guy 2 weeks ago since like the tweet, and I thought he had a funny name. I heard he's like really into like, he's like a super killer. I could die for saying this. So in case this the last time you ever hear from me.
If you need some context for what he was saying, by the way, he has made a character out of two props for Benjamin Netanyahu, who is a former Israeli prime minister. So he's calling him Netty, and he has a net, and he has a Yoo-hoo beverage instead of Yahoo.
It literally just is reminiscent of you're outside of 7-Eleven and someone comes up to you and you're like, like, why? Hello,
that
sir?
No one would ever validate as being any kind of correct.
It just shows how
unless you were Kanye
spineless
West.
Alex Jones is, because he's obviously understanding how wrong this is, how absurd this is. Yet here he is platforming him. So it's like, I want to be like, oh my God, Alex Jones actually... He seems like the fucking sane one here. That's insane. But I can't even give him that credit because it's like he's on your show.
It almost pisses me off more because
We
you
have
see
one
that
more
kind
election
of
where
thing
white people
with
can
a
make
few
the
of them,
decision.
and even Tim
The white
Pool,
people got to
that
make the right decision, and then
they're
Trump's
like,
got to get in
full
there and
on,
never leave.
yeah, say whatever you want.
To me,
right
at this
wing,
point, is
go
a
for
pathway.
it. And as soon as someone is like totally outside of the realm of what is acceptable at all, you can see them kind of almost drop character, and they're like, oh, they are a normal person, which pisses me off even more because they know that everything they normally do is wrong.
You should know. Yeah, exactly. He should know this is wrong. And it's just, oh my God, it's so uncomfortable to watch. And I feel awful for his family. I feel awful for his children.
That's why I was saying, I'm like, can you imagine having to like hide this from your kids when you can't? And also, how do you explain it? Because like, I don't know how you would explain it to a fully grown adult, much less.
I understand totally how it happens when you have the money, you have the celebrity status and all of that stuff.
I understand the piece is how he got there, but.
No, but I mean, like, he literally has like a fucking assistant who goes and runs and gets him a net and some Yoo-hoo. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't have, like, it's just like so insane the level that this man had. He has so many people around him and yet nobody of value and nobody to help him. And it's sad, but it's also like, no matter if he has his awakening moment, which sometimes happens and sometimes never fucking does, because a lot of this is his ego speaking and a lot of this is his like internal feelings. But like, no matter what the fuck this man says, unless it is like, I should have never fucking said that, I am so sorry. No.
Well, it seems like he's never gonna go down that road.
Probably.
Well, speaking of Kim and Kanye and conspiracies and the global elite, shall we talk about the other lighthearted topic we have for today?
I was just about to say, anybody who's like not into those topics is just like,
maybe you skip to the next one.
We have chapters for a reason, guys. You can skip on by. But everybody who didn't want to hear about them, sorry, there's more.
Yeah, Balenciaga, if you haven't heard. I don't even know how to describe what happened besides, should we just play the TikTok originally?
Yeah.
Yes, this is the first TikTok that went viral, but there's been quite a few.
Please tell me what product you think this brand, Balenciaga, is advertising here. Please tell me, because I can't be the only one who didn't think it was purses. Do you look at this and think, oh, they're advertising adult purses? A child holding literal fetish gear. This is a worldwide, internationally known brand, Balenciaga, advertising their purses by having a child hold kink fetish gear. And it was not just that one, it was also this one as well. Would you guess that that's about purses? Because I didn't. I'm a woman and I didn't know it was about purses. It seems to me it's about sexualizing children. It seems to me that this hypersexuality has gotten so bad that it affects everyone, including children. And children should not be involved with anything sexual, period. Why is that always the agenda, is to involve children with some sexual BS? It needs to stop.
I didn't see that one, actually. That's the first time I've seen that.
That was apparently the first one that kicked things off, but then things kind of continued to snowball because people went back and started looking through past campaigns of Balenciaga, and there have been some other strange instances where you could say pedophilia is referenced.
We're just going to lay this all out first and then obviously go into our opinions on it. And I'm blurring those kids' faces.
For sure.
Yeah, this is so weird. Like the internet does, just like Reddit does during the Try Guys era, they went back, like Lily said, they looked into everything and there was just the weirdest shit. Now, I'm not the conspiracy theory type per se. I'm usually like super turned off by like zoom in here and you could see this and it's like blue and blue plus 1 equals 5. I can't get on board with that. But this is undeniable. So when you zoom into this advertisement from Balenciaga, this is an official Balenciaga advertisement, there is a piece of paper. Now it seemingly looks like a regular piece of paper, but no. It says it contains an excerpt from the U.S. Supreme Court opinion in United States versus Williams, which upheld part of a federal child pornography law. So just an excerpt from that fucking, like, what?
Where things get, like, weird is, like, for anyone to be like, oh, it's a coincidence. It was an accident. Why do you accidentally have those court papers printed out?
That's what I was going to say. Like, I understand if, like, you have a piece of paper that says someone's address and, like, you didn't mean to have that there, but you just grabbed a stack of papers. Okay, but why the fuck do you have that printed in the first place? Why do you have it on your computer? Why were you reading it? I need to know the whole backstory. I don't get it.
After that, things started getting really, really conspiratorial, because people started looking in the background of other pictures and seeing a lot of references to, and stay with me here, what's its name? Ball?
Oh my God, this is the dumbest shit ever. But yeah, Ball.
Okay, so yeah, this is where it gets really QAnon-y, but some aspects of it are concerning, but some aspects of it I think you can explain.
To the boy's left is a drawing of a rainbow. To his right is a drawing of Earth with a crow looking down over it. And on the ground, there is a roll of ticker tape with Balenciaga spelled not the normal way, but spelled capital B, capital A, capital A, capital L, Ian Saga.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Mm-hmm. You know the meaning of that still? What is it?
The god of, we've talked about it a million times.
Child sacrifice.
That's how, okay.
Yeah. Child sacrifice, pedophilia, unstoppable sex.
And evil and...
Moloch.
Right.
It is the ancient god in the Bible, Moloch, or Baal, B-A-A-L.
It's a lot of gibberish, no?
The reason this is particularly relevant, I think, at the moment during all of this is because Baal symbolism in art and stuff is very common, and specifically is really intertwined with a lot of the stuff that came out of like Pizzagate, which people have already tied, not tied necessarily, but they're using the Balenciaga hashtag to tie things back to John Podesta, who is Hillary Clinton's he was like in the middle of Pizzagate.
Oh,
so
brother.
It turns back into this pedophilia ring of the global elite. Art has always been a really common theme in a lot of these conspiracy theories. And I think there are sketchy aspects of the art world, but I also think that people read a lot into things and jump to conclusions.
I don't know if I'm in the minority here. I think that things like this waste our time, and it's kind of like there are negative things that are completely confirmed and were done incorrectly and put children, I think, in a very uncomfortable and probably a dangerous spot by Balenciaga. But this whole thing is like, we start wasting our time when we go astray and we're like, well, this and that and this. I just feel like it's like not, I don't know. I don't actually
regardless of how many symbols and hidden messages you can show me in all these pictures, you can't provide any evidence of actual.
Well, funny part is I actually had family members already coming to me with this. Like, did you see the Balenciaga with 2 A's? So then now Lily actually just pulled it up, where the whole thing that they're even talking about is this roll of tape that's on the floor here in a photo shoot with a child, and the BDSM bear thing is there as well. Is that a purse or is that a bear?
I don't know. And to be honest, feel like I was confused at first when everything first came out because I'm not familiar with BDSM attire.
Oh, gotcha. Just look like a gothic bear.
Yeah, I thought it was weird, but I didn't know it was like inappropriate.
But when you actually look into, you zoom in on the tape, you can tell, and it looks like to me, the tape is ripped, right? Like it's like a piece of the tape, the end of the tape is lining up with the A.
You know, at first I was going to say that I could see that too, but I think it's also just the lettering underneath shows through. But
maybe.
Someone on Twitter had pointed out how easily it could be to, if you just cut the tape at the A and it happened to line up back where, like, there's no proof that that actually is spelled like that. It could literally just be where the tape lines up.
Yeah, like the tape was, they cut it so that they can use it for something else, for the chair, let's say, to wrap the chair in Balenciaga tape.
Exactly.
And they just stuck it on the floor.
Actually, yeah, zoom into the chair.
Yeah, the chair is covered in tape. My viewpoint on this, I actually agree with you. And I'm not familiar with BDSM in the personal sense per se, but I am familiar with the concept of BDSM. And it looked like gothic bears to me. I actually didn't have, like, it looked like weird. Now, here's my thing. Balenciaga, in no way, shape, or form, unless I'm completely mistaken, is not geared towards children, almost ever. Maybe they have a few kid items, but it's not, like, it's an adult brand.
To my knowledge, you are correct. And I'm unsure why they would use children in any ads.
That's my number one thing, is why the fuck, this is not Old Navy, this is not the Gap. Why the fuck are you having kids carry anything, even if it was a handbag? Like, I don't understand why they were using kids, period. I think I was telling you this before we started filming, but like, I am, I guess, so anti-QAnon that I'm quick to be like, let's find the like rational, you know, like I'm not going to go down the baby blood drinking rabbit hole. I can't do it. However, it's pretty, like I said, undeniable that there was a lot of wrong done here. So in my opinion, what the fuck were those parents thinking? They had to have been on set.
That's a great question, actually.
They had to have been on set. So where were they? Why were they not asking, hey, why is there a ball gag in the fucking bear that my kid is holding?
Honestly, maybe they didn't even notice, or they just didn't care.
I would be like, why do you want my kid for an adult brand? Like, I understand if you want my kid to model for Gerber, but like, why the fuck do you want them to be here for Balenciaga?
I don't know, and I haven't really seen much about like if the kid's parents have spoken out or something.
Right.
But one of the things that I don't get is, even if, let's say, hypothetically, Balenciaga is at the center of like a child abuse, sex trafficking, sacrificing, satanic, whatever the QAnon people think. Say that actually is the case. What would be the goal here? Like, that's projecting their image to like communicate with other satanic child worshippers? Like, I don't understand what the point would be.
Fucking question.
It's always like they're sending secret messages to each other, and I'm like, why?
Well, here's the thing. Somebody put that there. Somebody put that paper there, and that's where it gets fucked.
That's where I get to next. I'm like, so what were they getting out of it? So then you get to the next step and you're like, well, then who would do that and what would they get out of it? I know that this is very far-fetched. It's just as much of a conspiracy as anything else, but I almost feel like, couldn't you, and again, disclaimer, I don't think that this is what happened, but I had like an inkling of it for a moment that I was like, that someone did it to spark this outrage and like reignite this pedophilia in liberal Hollywood and the fashion industry and just stir up more conspiracies, because these all connect back. It took people 2 seconds to start tweeting about John Podesta and Pizzagate. If someone wanted to stir the political pot, I don't know why Balenciaga would be the choice. But,
well, here's the thing. Not as far-fetched as I thought, Lily. Good job.
I'd like to think I'm pretty logical.
Another thing, just before we keep going, I want to get like all the things that people found that I feel are like founded in truth out of the way really quick. So this was another Balenciaga campaign, something of the sort. And in the background, there's a book by Michael Borman. Now, I have no idea who that is, but the internet does, of course. And Michael Borman wrote a book, or is this an illustration book? What's the deal?
I don't know, but we don't need to go any further. It's naked children.
Oh, it's like an illustration book of naked children?
Yes.
For real? Shit. So that's the stuff that I believe are like definitely founded in this actually happened. And jumping back to what you were saying, I absolutely, like, my first brain was like, who the fuck was the set designer? Who is the art designer on set? Now, they could have some vendetta against somebody at Balenciaga itself. Maybe they just like to cause chaos. But also,
there's like someone that just wants to like fuck around. And
yeah,
just, like,
maybe
throw fuel in the fire once in a while.
But then I also think, why would someone that's so easily traceable, everything's documented, they know exactly every single person that was on set that day. They know everything. So why would you do something so crazy knowing that you're so easily traced back? Like, I don't get it.
This is a really, really dumb comparison, but the only thing that I can kind of like liken it to is, you know, when like there's those clips or like not even clips, it's like individual frames of like Disney movies where the animators like put a dick in the clouds, where it's like that feels like it would be very easily traceable, but they did it anyway.
Yeah, why do they do that? You think just for fun? They're bored?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I guess people do crazy shit all the time. Now, let's talk about the fallout. So immediately Balenciaga was like, not us. That was their first reaction, was to say, we had nothing to do with that and we're going to sue whoever was responsible specifically for the papers. Now, they apologized for the children and being pictured because obviously they knew about that. That wasn't a secret thing behind the scenes. Yeah. They knew that was happening. They were like, oops, that was in bad taste. But the papers is what they specifically had an issue with. And they were going to sue whoever placed the papers there. And apparently they have begun that process. Now, I know that a couple...
but now they have decided to drop it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yep, today.
Shut the fuck up. Why would they do that?
They have put out another statement, and the creative director has put out multiple statements.
Oh, hell no. Okay, here we go. Fuck me.
Balenciaga also, they have cleared their Instagram yet again. They cleared it immediately after everything started, and one of the people that tweeted about it that it went viral used that as like, ooh, look it, they're trying to hide their tracks. But in reality, Balenciaga does clear their feed a lot to like then post about the next collection they're gonna do. It's not
good
like
timing though.
This huge archive. But they have since deleted all of their posts, and now if you look at their page, it's just 2.
Oh, wow. Okay, a lot has changed because the first statement I saw was what I said. But wow, they have a new one. Do you want to read it?
Sure. We would like to address the controversies surrounding our recent ad campaigns. We strongly condemn child abuse. It was never our intent to include it in our narrative. Okay. The 2 separate ad campaigns in question reflect a series of grievous errors for which Balenciaga takes responsibility.
Okay.
Changing their tune. The first campaign, the gift collection campaign, featured children with plush bear bags dressed in what some have labeled BDSM-inspired outfits.
What do you label it?
I don't really know.
Now would be a good time to tell us what they were doing or what they thought they were doing. Don't you think? They could have been like, oh, we were doing Gothic and we didn't realize that they like overlap or whatever.
When people just flat out deny something or like creatively talk around it, you're like, what?
Yeah. Gaslighting.
I was going to say, that is called gaslighting.
Yeah.
Our plush bear bags and the gift collection should not have been featured with children. Yeah, you said that. This was a wrong choice by Balenciaga, combined with our failure in assessing and validating images. The responsibility for this lies with Balenciaga alone. What happened to make them change their statement? Because this is a drastic shift. The second, separate campaign for spring 2023, which was meant to replicate a business office environment, included a photo with a page in the background from a Supreme Court ruling, United States v. Williams, 2008, which confirms as illegal and not protected by freedom of speech the promotion of child pornography. All of the items included in the shoot were provided by third parties that confirmed in writing that these props were fake office documents. They turned out to be real legal papers, most likely coming from the filming of a television drama. The inclusion of these unapproved documents was the result of reckless negligence for which Balenciaga has filed a complaint, but no longer a lawsuit. We take full accountability for our lack of oversight and control of the documents in the background, and we could have done things differently. While internal and external investigations are ongoing, we are taking the following actions. We are closely revising our organization and collective ways of working. We are reinforcing the structures around our creative processes and validation steps. We want to ensure that new controls mark a pivot and will prevent this from happening again. We are laying the groundwork with organizations who specialize in child protection and aims at ending child abuse and exploitation. We want to learn from our mistakes and identify ways we can contribute. Balenciaga reiterates its sincere apologies for the offense we've caused and extends its apologies to talents and partners.
Okay, and there's another one.
Jesus.
I have thoughts.
Balenciaga takes the following action.
Oh yeah, this is new.
Do I have to read all of it? It's kind of all bullshit, but it says, lawsuit, Balenciaga has decided not to pursue litigation.
And they want to learn, help, and contribute to protect children. We are starting trainings on responsible communication across our teams. That reminds me of the episode of The Office where he does like the racial sensitivity training.
Oh, this is a message from the CEO.
Oh, Cedric. It has an accent. I don't know how that's said. Ooh, they donated. We have set aside a significant fund for grants to organizations so that we can help make a difference in protecting children. Oh God, I hate rich people. Let me just say. First of all, the not pursuing litigation, that means they realize they fucked up. If there's anything I know about a brand like that, what a great PR move it would have been to sue the people responsible, which they can because it's them. But if they could have sued those people, won, and proven like we had nothing to do with it, that would have been their best route here. Because it's like the only way you can even get away with this remotely is like, we didn't know. We had nothing to do with it. Now, you can claim negligence with, I would say the papers, but I can't say the papers. And the reason why I can't say the papers...
Actually, I have a question. Sorry. They're only addressing those two. They don't address the book, and they don't address any of the other symbolism or anything. So I understand why they're not addressing it. They don't have to. Honestly, could be a reach anyway. But can you explain to me how... this statement they put out, they're kind of creating like plausible deniability for the bears in the BDSM outfits and saying that it was like a misunderstanding.
They didn't explain how though. They didn't say this is what we meant, this is what we were gonna do. They didn't.
Because it wasn't a misunderstanding. They just like were okay with it. And then the papers are, it's not like I'm not defending them. They shouldn't be in there. But like if you take the bears out of it and just talk about the papers, it's not a lawsuit that like promotes, you know, like it's not like it was like a win for child pornography.
It doesn't.
I think it's the opposite.
Well, here's the thing. I can't, and again, I'm not a strong conspiracy theory person, but you're going to tell me this picture, which is super tailored. I mean, they literally laid down every single piece of paper. Why is every paper surrounding the bag turned upside down where it's just blank white and the only paper that's turned around is about that? That's weird as fuck. And it's intentional.
I mean, that whole aspect of it also, it's like companies so much smaller than Balenciaga will have full teams and like have people double checking. Like they have inventories of everything. Every single item and prop on the set was well documented.
By multiple people.
So to act like they just like threw papers in the air and that's where they landed and that happened to be one. Why would that paper be in a court drama? Why would they use real ones for that?
I'm not going to be made a fucking fool of. Do I look like I have stupid written on my forehead? No, this is just ridiculous.
Someone strategically put it there. I think there's no question about that. I think the question is who did it and why.
Well, and even if they did get it from a random place, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. The person had it in their car from the last shoot somewhere else down the street. The fact that it's so close to the bag and it's such a center point of focus when all the other papers are turned around, you have to make sure that there's nothing compromising on that paper. Whether you're the editor or the photographer yourself, like you have to make sure that paper doesn't say, fuck, all people from Cuba or like something fucking that's gonna get you in trouble. You have to fucking read it.
Well, and I guess that goes back to my question a second ago that like
they read it.
I'm not saying it's okay, but I kind of am curious what other people think of like why, if it was just the paper on its own, like why is it that bad?
What do you mean?
Like it's not like it says anything. It's
not like CP itself, but it's fucking like weird.
It's fucking weird. I don't deny that at all. It's not like,
I don't know. I get what you're saying. It's not like it's
kind of like, okay.
The book is almost like worse.
The book, absolutely, which I think it's crazy they don't address that because that's another piece that like someone put that there. So back to my thing, I think there's no question that these were put there for a reason, but the question is why were they put there and who did it?
Right. So that was the summary of the craziness of Balenciaga. It was all over TikTok, all over Twitter. Everybody's talking about it. So naturally, people who have partnered with Balenciaga many times, like Sir Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, were pressured to make statements. Along with like any celebrity that's ever worked with him, people were like, well, say something. That's how the internet works. So Kim Kardashian did make a statement, correct? I don't know if it's here.
Yeah, there's a link to it. It's a whole Twitter thread.
So Kim went to Twitter and made a statement on the 27th of November. And she said, I have been quiet for the past few days, not because I haven't been disgusted and outraged by the recent Balenciaga campaigns, but because I wanted an opportunity to speak to their team to understand for myself how this could have happened, which I think is definitely fair. As a mother of 4, I have been shaken by the disturbing images. The safety of children must be held with the highest regard, and any attempts to normalize child abuse of any kind should have no place in our society, period. I appreciate Balenciaga's removal of the campaigns and apology. In speaking with them, I believe they understand the seriousness of the issue and will take the necessary measures for this to never happen again. As for my future with Balenciaga, I am currently reevaluating my relationship with the brand, basing it off their willingness to accept accountability for something that should have never happened to begin with, and the actions I am expecting to see them take to protect children. And literally the first thing is Blair White saying, cut ties completely or you're full of shit, Kim.
Well, so I have an interesting thing that I've seen people posting. Well, first of all, Kanye had gotten dropped by Balenciaga, like, I want to say a month ago. I don't know the timing. But first, I've seen a lot of, I mentioned earlier that there's been a lot of paparazzi videos of Kanye, and he's been very chatty with them. I think he calls them. But he has mentioned Balenciaga a few times and been like, why aren't people talking about Balenciaga? But then he puts out statements yesterday on Twitter after his Alex Jones interview, if that's what we're going to call that. And his Twitter is now suspended. But you would think that because they dropped him, he would be anti, which I thought he was based on the videos that I saw where he's like, why is no one talking about that? We should care about the children, blah, blah, blah. But then apparently he tweets, I stand by Balenciaga and denounce all witch hunts, and I cancel culture. Jesus is king. Ending trafficking doesn't start or end with a fashion campaign, for Christ's sake. Then he said, never turn our backs on Demna and the Balenciaga family for life. Cancel culture. Jesus, please heal. And Demna is the creative director of Balenciaga, who has, I guess, since he has started as the creative director, has been like the source potentially of a lot of controversies.
I fucking hate this. You see this with almost every single person who's ever been quote unquote canceled. They're always like, fuck cancel culture. Like, duh, because everyone hates you. It's just so annoying. Everybody always goes there. He's just saying it to say it. He talks to hear himself talk, and I'm so over it.
Apparently, he had also shared earlier on Twitter that day a text exchange with Demna, who he's apparently worked on multiple projects with throughout the years. And in the alleged text, Demna begged West to ask his fans to stop Demna hate, to which he responded with, love cures everything. Love Demna.
Why the fuck does anyone text Kanye anymore? You know he's going to post it. There's no privacy when it comes to Kanye. But anyway, we have a very long episode planned. I just wanted to touch on it because I knew because we mentioned Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, people were going to want us to cover this. Well, fun times. Thank you, Lily, for that beautiful topic. Moving on to our other resident bigots, Ruby from Eight Passengers.
Oh, connections. How's her porn site?
Oh my God. So we kind of touched on this on the last episode where we were just like, we were going to talk about it, but there's really nothing new happening. But really, we haven't talked about or updated on 8 Passengers at all since our first fucking episode. So our first ever episode.
Since episode 1. Wow.
Yeah, our first episode was on family channels and how awful they were, but a lot of it was on 8 Passengers. And if you don't know, she is a Mormon, a very religious, intense, strict Mormon woman who has gathered a lot of controversy online because of the way that she parents, which is horribly, in my opinion. As a parent myself, I think I can speak on the fact that holy shit, her kids hate her. And it turns out, shocking, they do. They do hate her. So we missed quite a few things.
It's funny because I actually feel like in the first episode, we do touch on the topic of how the generation of kids that have been victim to being in family channel vlogs all the time, that this is going to be the first kind of era where those kids have started to grow up and now they can speak out against their parents if they want to. And did it actually happen?
Yeah. So we actually missed a statement that the daughter, Sherry Frank, made because people started putting 2 and 2 together. They started noticing that Ruby's siblings, who are also online, were unfollowing her, and then that Sherry Frank didn't follow Ruby, and everyone was like, what's going on? So Sherry Frank is the daughter of the Franks. And she ended up making a statement because you know how the internet does. They speculate and then they push people like, what's going on every single picture until you comment. So she posted an Instagram story, actually. She said, I know that there are many rumors circulating online about my family. While it is true that I am not in contact with my immediate family and don't support the extreme beliefs of connections, please remember that this is my real family. Despite good intentions, speculating, rumors, and gossip doesn't help us. I'd like to ask for privacy for me and my family as we work through this very difficult situation. Please know that many are working on this situation, and I hope one day that we can be whole again. Please respect my privacy as I work through my own healing as well. I always feel weird when I'm reading a statement about their privacy because I'm like, oh, whoops.
Yeah, I was gonna say awkward. Sorry.
My bad. But that is the statement that she put out. So then people started noticing not only that Frank is his name, I think, the husband. Mm-hmm. Is it Kevin or Frank? There's so many
I
of them.
said yes, but I have literally no idea.
Oh, not the website. Hold on.
Oh my God. It looks like it was made on GeoCities.
Kevin Frank. Okay. So the husband's name is Kevin Frank, and people started noticing that not only was he not a member of Connections anymore. So if you remember when we first spoke about them, Kevin was someone that would avidly like comment on things, but it was like a mom group. So it's like, Kevin, why are you here? So he would like comment on posts and stuff and be like, you have to live your truth. So that's their main thing, right? You have to live your truth. Anyone who's not living in the, let's be honest, Mormon truth is like deceptive and living a horrible life and is going straight to the pit of hell.
And this isn't to shame religion in any way, but don't you feel like with like really religious people, nothing ever really makes sense. It's all very vague. Like they say stuff and I'm like, what does that mean though?
It's a lot of talking to hear themselves talk and to feel like grandiose and better and holier than thou. And as a daughter of a pastor, okay, I mean, no longer a pastor practicing, thank God. I just cannot see my dad as a pastor now. I look at him, I'm like, what the hell?
I can't see you being the daughter of a pastor.
No. Literally. But there's a lot of hypocrisy. I mean, it was just constant hypocrisy in the church. People who were just wanting to be told that they were like doing better than everybody else and like, okay, so I got this. Because we all have a lot of doubts in life. And I think religious people or like religious environments, I want to say religion as a whole. I don't think that like having faith in general, you know, like someone who has faith on their own.
In general, I'm not trying to shame everyone that has religious beliefs. It tends to get a little disconnected the more extreme it gets.
When anything gets brought to that extreme, it's bad. But religion in general harbors an extreme environment. So it's like religion thrives off of spreading the message, spreading that truth, spreading your knowledge of what you know and everybody else doesn't know. So you have to tell them about it. Every religion does that because that's how they thrive. That's how they keep opening churches and everyone keeps making a living. But that being said, that is their main thing. We live in truth. Everything that we say is deceptive, including being trans, gay, I mean, you name it. They're extremely homophobic, extremely bigoted, extremely...
Well, and then even weirder, like you would assume that only people that are also all of those things would be the ones joining this group. Like I would assume they all probably share similar viewpoints. And I would assume that Ruby would assume that as well. But it's so weird when you hear her answering some of the questions because someone will ask her something that's like pretty generic and like not that serious, and suddenly she like flips it around and is basically like scolding the parent that left the comment. It's like she's scolding them for asking for advice, but she asked them to ask for advice.
I just feel like anybody who's as extreme as Ruby is, to the point where you're withholding food from your kids. We talked about that in our first episode. Things like that. Your kids fucking hate you. And we said that in our first episode. Like, Ruby, there's no world in which your kids grow up and think that you were an excellent mom. And the fact that her and this woman who hold on, let me see her name really quick. I know her name, but I can't.
Jody.
Oh, Jody. Okay.
Jody Hildebrand.
So Ruby and Jody, what's really ironic of them working together is that the history of Jody is that she was actually a therapist and would be a therapist to couples who were married and had so many complaints about her that she almost lost her license to be a therapist or her qualifications, whatever it is that you need to be a therapist. She almost lost that because she would literally, as they accused her of, allegedly, would try to like ruin marriages and like do shit and get one person to be against the other person. And it's so fucking wild when you dive deep into it that this person...
Sounds like it would be a Hulu show.
Literally. The fact that her and this woman, Ruby, are now together on Connections with a capital X, as Lily says, it sounds like a porn site, and it absolutely does. But what's crazier is that since starting this connection, so it started as a Facebook group, right? They started giving advice to parents who were asking like, hey, my daughter is trans. And then they would be like, no. And that was the essence of their advice. Then they I guess what happened was that they noticed that a lot of people that were on their private Facebook
got
page,
infiltrated.
Yeah, the people that were on there were not fans. They were people that came from commentary videos or people that were critical.
It was
of them.
Marky.
It literally was just Marky. So what they did was they actually put their services behind a paywall. So in comes Connections Insiders. And that's what they started. So for just a small fee of $21 a month, you can get exclusive access to their online community on Volley, which is some like chat site that they're using to answer your questions. Mind you, all of this is from the two people that are the most least qualified ever to give parenting advice.
Yeah, I was going to say, how are you going to give parenting advice when your whole family's not talking?
You could either... Oh my God. I'm reading this now. So you can either pay $21 a month for their access, or you can pay $21 for 20 minutes of direct messaging to Jody or Ruby on Volley. And you can ask a question and receive up to 20 minutes of video interaction with them privately, one-on-one.
So, but I think the $21 a month, you don't get 20 minutes guaranteed. It's probably like a 1-minute answer. So if you want that quality time with Ruby and Jody, gotta pay.
Well, what's interesting is that ever since she started this connections thing with this wicked woman, Jody. I mean, honestly, I think that Ruby herself is wicked, pretty wicked if you ask me. But when she started, yeah, because I feel like an evil energy from them, like strange, evil, deranged. Like, I don't know, they give me really bad vibes. But ever since Ruby started this, her life essentially fell apart. So people started noticing Kevin is not on the connections group anymore. So that was before they even started this paywall thing. Then they started noticing Ruby's not wearing her wedding ring. And she always wore it. Yeah, she always wore it, and now she's not wearing it. So there's speculation that they're separated. And a lot of people are just thinking, essentially, that this Jody woman, who was notorious for ripping people apart and like almost lost her fucking license for that, is doing the same to Ruby and is like some weird, she has her in some trance. Not that Ruby was like a wonderful person before she met Jody, but you know what I mean? It's just happening.
Took her even deeper down.
Yeah.
But have you also heard, though, that people are pointing out that Jody's very critical of Ruby? Like, Ruby will be like personally like recounting her downfalls as a parent or just as a person, I guess. Then instead of being like, oh no, wasn't that bad, or trying to like reassure, Jody's like, oh, and you were this too.
I accredit Marky to keeping this in our sphere, and also he gets like access to all their videos, I think, that are like behind a paywall. So thank you, Marky, because I'm absolutely not paying to get into Connections with an X. Absolutely not.
Side note that is not really important, but I had no idea going into the first episode. But did you know, do we know them, that I actually have a connection?
To who?
Not with an X.
To whom?
Do you remember when, so if you guys don't know I always drink Trulies on this show, but my non-alcoholic beverage of choice has always been Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
And I always drank it a lot on Clever. Over the years, you would think, from the millions of views and free product placement I gave them, I would have maybe gotten a brand deal, but that never happened. Instead, they did DM me one time and they're like, what's your address? We want to send you something. And I was so excited because this was right after I had seen that they were sending just like cases of Dr. Pepper to a bunch of different influencers. One of which was Jared Meekum, Ruby's brother-in-law.
Oh my God.
And he uploaded a picture and it's him sitting on a literal throne of Dr. Pepper.
That's what we made our whole video on.
Oh my God, I forgot. You were in my birthday one. Yeah.
Literally, we made a whole video on this on Lily's channel.
Yeah, so basically, Jared's in this throne, and then I'm like, oh my God, am I getting a throne? I'm so excited. I give him the Clever address, and I get my package, and it is a fucking backpack with a 6-pack in it and some Dr. Pepper flavored candy. I sound very ungrateful and bitchy, and this is all kind of a joke too. But it was just so like, wait, why did all these people get thrones and then I just got a backpack? So I was being really petty and I posted a side-by-side of me and Jared in his throne, and Jared immediately responded on Twitter and was like, oh my God, I'll send you a case. And he was being so sweet, and we've been Dr. Pepper friends ever since.
So her brother-in-law.
They don't speak, I believe.
Hopefully not. Yeah. I mean, what's new? People hate their in-laws all the time. But I just feel like that's so random.
I know. And someone commented after, they're like, Lily, Jared's her. I was like, and like, I've never met him in real life. We're Twitter acquaintances that just share a bond over Dr. Pepper. But crazy.
Lily doesn't think you should live in truth. Don't worry. Do you?
No. What does that mean? Oh, actually, one thing I wanted to bring up, though, about all of their, like, verbiage around everything is that despite all of it, as far as I'm aware, being really, like, centered in religion, they don't talk about, like, God they just refer to truth a lot.
Well, no, it's because the Mormon religion, isn't there like Joseph Smith is like their fucking...
I don't know.
They
There's
have some weird
shit.
Yeah, it's not like standard God to person pipeline. I think they've got some fucked up shit in there.
But so I feel like she's kind of vague about it though, so she can appeal to like anyone that, like, she still speaks in a religious way, but it's never specific to what religion, you know?
She used to do that about gay people, like Girl Defined, you know, those two sisters?
Yes.
Lovely. Hope we dive into them one day. That's a great time. They, for instance, used to be very, very vague about their stance on homosexuality. And then they kind of like reeled that back and were like, oh no, we're homophobes. Like, so a lot of them do that just to like get the people in, you know, you don't want to seem too intense. You don't want to seem, and then they're just like, just kidding, gay people shouldn't exist.
But am I wrong though? Like, she doesn't ever really refer to any kind of specific religious.
I know what you mean. It is very vague, the whole truth and that is, it seems like very... What I find about religion a lot, and as someone I feel like who has been religious in my life, no longer, I have been, and I feel like I can speak on that, is that a lot of religions use vague terminology, like you're going through a lot.
To the mass.
You need something that you've been looking for. I don't know, just like psychics do. They throw shit at a wall until they see what sticks. That's what I feel religion does a lot, and Ruby absolutely does that a lot. But anyway, Marky put this, we'll just get a little glimpse into their connections, messages, and how they respond to people, and then we'll call it a day.
That we saw in the body image video question that we saw Ruby respond to.
No one asked a question on this page yet, and the fact that I'd have paid $21 fucking to get on this page, I thought, you know what? I'm gonna ask a fucking question. And normally I don't do this, like I haven't posted any questions on the Facebook page, I've never DM'd anyone privately or whatnot, but since this is a paid platform where you pay to ask one question a month, and I did pay the money, I thought, you know what? I'm gonna ask a question. Now the question I asked was because I wanted to get a gist of how Jodie would feel about the situation with Ruby and her family without actually asking about Ruby and her family, because that would be a bit out of order. So I've just worded it about myself to see what Jodie's opinions would be on a general situation where someone's family doesn't want to live in truth like Jodie and Ruby, and you know, right, I'll read it out. Hi, I recently joined this group for one specific issue I have had recently. Living in truth can be tough when the people around you don't have the same views as you, and I've experienced this firsthand. This being with my family. They've been vocal with the fact that they find my views to be disgusting and don't seem to want to speak to me because of it. My question is, should I rethink my views, which is simply just living in truth and taking your advice from the Facebook...
He's capitalizing truth each time. Do they do that?
I don't know, but Marky, your dedication is amazing. You not only paid to get in.
I'm dying. This is very believable.
But the idea of like saying I want to ask about Ruby without asking about Ruby is so smart.
To carry on living in truth, even though my family will not speak to me and are so against it. Loaded question, I know, but I could really do with a solution, and I look forward to seeing your video response, thanks. And then about a day and a half later, we got a response from Jodie, which is already going against the criteria that is on the page, you know. They said you get your question answered within 24 hours, so it was a bit late. And also, they have no one else to fucking answer questions for. I'm the only one here. But yeah, Jodie responded with like a 5-minute video, which is her basically just rambling about nothing really, and just kind of going away from the question. But all in all, she basically says, if your family don't accept that you're living in truth and they don't accept your views, fuck them.
You have a family or family members that feel that you...
Really quick, you see the eyes, right? The demon Kenneth Copeland eyes. I don't know if I'm just an empath or if I just like literally can see emptiness in people, but holy shit, her eyes disturb me.
Well, it's weird though that you bring up the eyes, because did you see the thing about Ruby's eyes that people are commenting on?
No.
I want to say it was probably Spill Sesh. There's videos where people are like, something's going on with her because she has this kind of weird, like...
The twitching. I did see that.
Yeah, like I don't want to mimic it. I'm not like making fun of her at all. It seems like there's something like a something's off. Like
I did see that.
Get checked.
Yeah. She's probably stressed the fuck out.
Yeah, it was like a weird, like her eyes were kind of like bulging, and it seemed like she didn't even notice she was doing it, kind of.
Ooh, interesting. No, her eyes just freak me out because they're empty and soulless.
Her eyes just show that she has no soul.
She just scares me. Anyway.
You choosing to live in truth, though I'm not quite sure what this means. You say that people think it's disgusting or you're disgusting. And I don't understand that.
I mean, really? Like, the thousands of people who've told you that your views are disgusting and have told you why, you still don't understand that? Like, this is shocking to you? Now, here's the thing. I'm not too educated.
All they say is live in truth. So what do you mean? I don't understand. Yeah, that's
No,
because
she
you're
doesn't
fucking
understand
vague.
why
None of your shit
anyone
makes
would
sense.
think that it's disgusting to live in truth. That's what she was
That's
saying.
because there's no definition to living in truth, and they're making it up.
You've got to decide how you're going to live your life. Are you going to live a life where you're more interested in what people think of you and how they're going to respond to you? Or are you interested in becoming a very independent human that makes decisions because they're in your best interest?
Yeah, what I find really interesting about that whole mindset of especially people in a lot of organized religions where they'll just be like, let other people judge, like we're living in truth and in our moral principles are better than everybody else's. That's such a matter of opinion that to literally dedicate your life, isolate yourself from your family, do your whole life around something that has made you alone. You're literally, Ruby, this lady, the soulless eye lady is the only friend you have in this life. And that is so fucking depressing for something that, if you ask me, I think is total bullshit. So it's just so fucking insane. And they don't understand how it's all a matter of opinion, of perception. Everybody in religion thinks their religion is the only truth, which is why it makes every religion so confusing because it's like, who is actually telling the truth? Is anybody telling the truth? I don't know.
Because they're all basing it off shit that was written thousands of years ago. And I'm like, is that still relevant? Do you know that they interpreted that right? Do you know how many times it was rewritten? Like, it doesn't make sense. And also, I like that the fact you bring up opinion in it, because can we talk about the fact that people go to like Bible study their entire lives to study this book and have different interpretations? So if it's that confusing and open to interpretation that you can spend your entire life studying one book, it seems like maybe that's not a good thing to base everyone's lives off of.
Well, that's the thing is like, and again, my mom, for instance, is religious in the sense that she has like a very strong faith. She's super like, whatever, but I'm not. And I'm not here to be like, oh, all of that's bullshit or what I'm saying is right. My whole thing about religion and life in general is like, why the fuck would I think I have the answers? Whether I've read a million books or whether I've read a book 1,000 times, I don't think I know everything. I actually know fucking nothing. And I understand that, which is why I'm not religious. But,
but I think that they see it more as like, they don't know either, but they're being told by this grand authority that I'm like, that
I've actually seen a lot of people say that like, if I die and I realize that all of this was bullshit, which I mean literally nothing would happen because
I don't think they would really have you.
But a lot of people say that they're like, if I died, I'm glad that I lived my life according to this, which like if it aligns with your principles and you want to do that in your free time, I literally have nothing wrong with it. My issue with religion always comes into don't push it on other people, and it's almost impossible.
Well, that's the thing. If what it's doing for you is just adding value to your life by making you subscribe to a certain moral compass that you think is correct for you, and that you think that it gives you something to live for and to like believe in, great, happy for you. If someone else doesn't believe that, a lot of the religious moral compass gets kind of ignored then, I feel like, when people start to like then want to push their beliefs on someone. So I'm like, doesn't that defeat the purpose? Can't you just be a good person and not subscribe to any of this?
I mean, and do whatever you want. Again, it's not to shame anyone who's religious, but I've always thought anything that I genuinely believe in my life, like things that I'm like, oh, that's part of my belief system, my morality, I have never needed someone else to also believe that in order for me to feel strong in that. So that's where I go with faith, where I'm like, if your faith is good enough for you and it makes you happy and it makes you feel fulfilled, you don't need me to believe it to feel fulfilled. So that's where I get like real rocky with these people, where I'm just like, because it gets toxic so quickly. Again, I know many people whom I love dearly. My father was a freaking pastor, as I said. I know a lot of people who are religious who are not disgusting, who are not people who are so judgmental and horrible. Like, it's just so sad. There was another clip of Ruby crying and kind of like reflecting on family vlogging and why she stopped doing it. And I found it just a little bit disingenuous and just felt like you're not doing it because like your kids all fucking despise you at this point. Like, you don't pretend that it's like she blamed it basically on the internet and the hate and like the judgment and stuff that came from the internet. And I can't get on board with that. It's like, dude, you put your family out there in a way that was totally not okay. I think Ruby's the one that did all the like first period videos and crazy shit like that. You did that and you were of age and of like, you should have known better.
And now she's saying that she doesn't want her kids to be exploited, but she's placing all the blame blame for this exploitation on the internet and people like sending hate, not on the fact that she was the one exploiting it. And doesn't she even say like, there's no amount of money in the world? And it's like, well, apparently there was an amount of money and attention combined that made you do it for the last like how many years? So the only reason you stop now is because they left.
You know what? I totally get people who don't put their kids online at all. I've definitely battled with, as like my son, for instance, gets older, because like when they're young, and Ethan actually does this too, he'll show like his youngest son, but he won't show his like 4-year-old son, because
babies
their
aren't as
faces change.
Yeah.
Exactly. They change a lot.
It's not like you're gonna, like a stranger's not gonna be out and be like, I know that baby.
Exactly. But I've struggled with like, when do I want to stop showing him? I know there'll probably reach a point where I do, but I just don't know when yet. But what I will say is that when I got into drama online in 2020, it was my son's 3rd birthday on the day that something went down online. And I'll never forget that I got like nasty comments. Basically, it was a nasty comment about me saying that they deserved a better mom, that I'm fucking horrible and whatever. But just the relation of like drama coinciding with my family was enough to make me never want to, like, I literally didn't post them for so long after that. I was so
It just made you wish that people didn't know you had a kid.
Exactly. My thing is like, Ruby, this has been going on for a long time. You've gotten a lot of hate, there's family vloggers who have...
This isn't a sudden onslaught of criticism.
At all. And I get it that like when you get into something online or whatever, people are going to attack anything they can, and they see your kids as like a easy way to get to you. But with Ruby and other family vloggers who have, for instance, there was one on TikTok. She's a famous TikToker. I can't think of her name right now, but a guy showed up with a fucking gun to their house, and it like misfired or something, or like he went to shoot, it didn't shoot. The dad was able to, like, he ran away because of that. The dad was able to get his gun in the meantime, and when he came back with the gun again, like fixed presumably, the dad I think shot and killed him. And it was like a famous TikToker.
Fuck.
Like it was like someone who was big on TikTok. She was a minor. And these are the things that it's like, this is where we can get to very quickly with the parasocial relationships and shit. And I just hate that Ruby's like, it's the internet that's all bad. No, you're putting your kids on a fucking silver platter and saying, here's when they get their period, here's when they went to the doctor, and here's exactly what the doctor said. Like, it's just too intense.
And viewers, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not religious, no pun intended, 8 passengers viewer, but the hate that they were getting has never been directed at the children themselves. It's at Ruby for being a fucking monster. So it's not even like the comments are like, oh, the children, like, the comments are not a result of the kids being exploited. Like, all the negative was to her.
Yes and no. I think
I feel for the kids, and I absolutely want them out of that situation too. But she's acting like they were just getting like, you're ugly comments kind of.
No,
and
there
I'm
was
like,
there was a situation, I think it was with Crazy Pieces. I'm trying to think of who it was. That was another prevalent like family vlogger. Who fucking knows at this point how to keep track of them? But it was another family vlogger family, and like one of the kids literally got like catfished and like manipulated by like someone. Like, the whole point is that,
I mean, I don't doubt that would happen.
Yeah, being put up on the internet like this, it just leaves you open to so much vulnerability to be this available. And I think that it's fucking dumb that she's there crying. It's so funny because you see like some ounce of humanity in Ruby crying, and then you're like, oh, she's still full of shit. Like the second she opens her mouth.
Like, well, fuck. I hope that nothing too sketchy happened with them and that they didn't experience anything too bad. But you can just tell from the way she's framing it that it's very purposeful, that she's trying to make it like they were suffering because of the comments. I'm like, no, they were suffering because of your parenting.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but all I can say is that I hope that one by one those kids find their freedom and their voice and can get away from her, because honestly, Ruby is she's a troubled person who has latched onto religion to be very awful, and I think that her kids are going to suffer because of it. Hopefully they don't, and I wish them well. Ruby and Jody can go kiss my ass. I really don't like that Jody woman. I know I don't like Ruby, but like Jody scares me.
What a duo. And then seeing the quality of that website is just...
What are you talking about? Shall I pull it up one more time? Let's scroll through for the viewers. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. Call to action, stock video footage.
A lot of
text.
Beautiful. Are you ready to feel empowered? We have our business blazers on and we're ready to go.
Oh my God, I cannot. That looks like the blazer I wore for a Halloween episode. That being said, I think that's all that we have for today. I feel like today was a little bit more of a downer. What?
I read verbatim. Ruby Frank is a certified mental fitness trainer with connections. She is a wife and a mother to 6 wonderful children. Her entire family has been transformed transformed through connections training and is now helping others to experience the same transformation. Ma'am, did you forget that none of them are speaking to you?
Mental fitness trainer?
That's what you're stuck on? Her entire family has been transformed. Her entire family has been lost. Follow these directions if you want to lose all of yours too.
Is mental fitness trainer like, does that account for all the mental gymnastics that you have to do to believe this bullshit? I just love that term. I'm stuck on it. I can't help it. Anyway, this was fun. I'm sorry if this was a little bit more of a downer episode. I feel like we talked about like serious things, religion, politics, anti-Semitism. But you know what? That is what's going on the internet right now. We didn't fucking choose this life. The internet did.
And honestly, we try not to do anything on it. We're like, it's just like, no. Then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And now we're here.
I know there's really not much going on. But hopefully you guys enjoyed spending some time with us anyway. And yeah, I think that's about it. Anything else, Lily?
I don't think so. We were talking about potentially doing some kind of bonus episode. I don't know if that's really going to happen because, full disclosure, I'm also editing Vlogmas for Kristen McAtee this year. Go check it out if you need a Vlogmas to watch. I'm not doing it because I don't do enough things to vlog. But we were talking about perhaps doing a bonus video that's like more evergreen-esque. What was one of the topics? It was
showing each other like funny videos. Just funny videos in general. Yeah, I mean, and we really want to do this bonus episode, but who knows if it's going to happen. But as Pitbull said, shoot for the stars, because if you don't land, or wait, what is it? Because if you don't reach them, at least you'll fall on top of the world.
I don't know, but of course you're quoting Pitbull.
Lily, halt. Do we know them? I do know Pitbull. He was a family friend for a short while, and I need to show this awful picture that is literally the most cursed image of me that anyone has ever seen. I don't have it on hand, so you can't see it right now, but just trust that it is the worst thing you've ever seen.
Okay, then do you want to see my picture with Pitbull?
What?
We met him in the Cabo airport after spring break 20.
Oh my God, this crossover is everything. Yeah, so my stepdad worked on the radio, and Pitbull, they were a big part, him and his partner at the time were a big part in like Pitbull's coming up, especially in Miami. They would play his music when nobody else played his music. And so then when he became big and he would do concerts and stuff, we would go backstage and we would like take pictures with him. But I was like fucking 12 and hideous. I was a fucking hideous
How old
beast.
were you?
I was like 12 or 13.
Oh my God, I'm so excited for this picture.
But that's about all we have to offer for you this week. We always leave with a little zest. You know, we can't just leave you hanging. We always give a little something. But do we know them? Apparently, yes.
Sometimes this podcast limits us because I feel like both of us have a lot of very random tidbits we could share.
We really do. But honestly, no, I don't think it limits us. I think it actually brings these random stories that otherwise would be buried and probably never on the internet. It brings us out.
You never know what to expect.
Never. Got to watch through the whole episode or else you're going to miss our hideous pictures with Pitbull. Anyway, but thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate you guys being here and staying through the video. And yeah, we'll see you next Sunday.
Bye.
Bye.